TYS-Clevatess episode 2. So, kicking off this episode, kind of picking up where the last one left off, and how they were both Clan and Alicia were being taken away by these bandits, and Alicia kind of like asks Clan or Clevitus, like, hey, why are you so frail in a human body? He's like, well, it's because I'm human and I don't want to give anything away of what my identity truly is. He's like, if I wanted to, these would be no problems, but I kind of want to have the whole human experience and be able to live it until Luna reaches her full potential and becomes the king of the humans. So I do like this kind of aspect to it where he wants to be more of like the shadow leader, and he doesn't want to just like use his overall strength to impose himself. He wants to see what humans are like. He wants to really experience it, to see what they're worth, to see what they do, to see how they behave to certain things, and to also experience the hardships that it comes with being human. As you know, he is a dark beast, and he doesn't necessarily always get to experience such things like humans do. So I do like that. It does give him kind of like this humanity trait where he wants to actually get to know somebody. And once they arrive to the bandit base, somebody instantly tries to escape, but they get pretty much taken care of with a knife in the back. And then it deters the other slaves that are there from ever running like away like that guy. So Alicia gets sent off to this to to see the boss, and Clan gets sent off to see this random random girl. Her name is Nell. Uh, she's the one that's gonna be taking care of Luna because she is the one that can breastfeed her. And once we get introduced to Nell as kind of like this klutz that's really scared or really timid and doesn't really know how to defend herself, and for a good reason, as we later find out. But we have the people that took in Alicia kind of like their leader. It's not necessarily their actual leader, somebody that's just replaced their leader, because the leader's away. He's the one that's in charge now. He starts kind of like trying to decipher who she is and why she's not scared of him or being with bandits, or even scared of the dark beast that he just has as a pet. And he quickly starts to put things together, as like how there was this expedition with 13 heroes, and one of them was a woman, and then realizes, oh, you're probably that woman because you had all these red stones that can only be found in that mountain where Clevitus is. So it's really interesting seeing this guy just break down information, and really gives us a nice vibe that not everybody's gonna be mindless, or they're not gonna be pointless. So I like that this boss actually feels like a boss. He feels very intelligent and not necessarily just all bronze. But yeah, they figure out that it's Alicia, and so the guy kind of makes it known to the other bandits, like, listen, you can go and have your fun with her, just just bring her back in one piece, and we can start looking for these we can start looking for regalia, which we find out these people, there's ways they make money, and that's through slaves and through selling fake regalia, just by covering them with red paint from the stones is enough to fool people into thinking that these were produced from the hidden village. And because the village is no longer like there thanks to Clevitus, their business is probably booming right now. And then we go back to Klein and his situation, and how he's at this bar and he's kind of just handing people food, and they're like, "Wow, I really like this guy. He's very obedient. He's actually pretty strong for his size, and he doesn't really nag us and doesn't really disobey us. So I'm glad we found him. He's kind of like a gem in here, and the girl's kind of like the girl that took in Nell is kind of like, well, he's kind of creepy to me. He has this horn, so I thought he was an upgrade, and he has those red eyes. So I do like that, despite the fact that Klein has kind of assumed this human appearance. He still has has the appearance that's not fully human, and people are kind of seeing him and questioning why he's strong, or like at least giving it a second thought. It's not just like, oh, he just came in here with this baby. And as we see more of this, what happens in this bar, like Nell is also in here working, and she gets tripped up by these two bandits, and they're like, oh well, you spilled booze all over the floor. We're gonna have to go and punish you. And punish her they do. They just, the next time we see them, see her with the other two, she's kind of like getting spanked, and she has a black eye, so you can kind of assume a lot of things happened uh with them and her. And she her, after everything that happened, her first thought is just like, well, I better get back and nurse that baby, as she actually produces milk, because as we find out in this episode, that she, she had a stillborn, and it almost broke her. Like, you could literally feel like she said that she wanted to end herself there and then and there, and she was ready to give up on everything because of everything that's happened to her so far, including the stuff with her mother. Because the first of all, the mother had her while she was being kept there as a slave, so she was just born into the being a slave in there, and she didn't realize it then, but because her mother was there, she was able to avoid a lot of the beatings. But at one point, her mother was no longer there, so she was probably either sold off, or worst off, she probably jumped off uh, a cliff that I'll talk about in a bit. But the mother was not seeing, so like, instead of, because they didn't have her to take the beatings anymore, they kind of switched it over to her. And she even points out, like, because of those beatings, I kind of lost most of my teeth, and I lost a lot of my brain cells, and I lost a lot, including like, I'm partially deaf from one ear. It just, she was just brutally hit and tortured. And not only that, because she is part of the slave and she did have a stillborn, you can kind of put two and two together, that there was more to what they did that the anime kind of left off of, but just given enough like implications that it happened. And yeah, like, the only reason why she was able to keep living after suffering all that is because this one baby that ended up feeding off of her, and it brought her some sort of warmth, and she realized she still had value to give, even in a place like this, where she realized she can keep going as long as there was babies to feed. And that's what kept her going all these years, including the fact that she had two more stillborns after her first stillborn. So there's multiple instances where they just took advantage of her. And yeah, Klein, though, the good soul that he is now, kind of realized the kind of person Nell is, and that pretty much sealed the deal for him, that Nell was the person that they were that he wanted to be the wet nurse for Luna. So he offered her, like, hey, let's get out of here. Let's go. I can take care of you, and you won't have to worry. You wouldn't even have to be here where you take beatings and all this. And Nell just kind of like said she would love to, but Clan is also a slave there, so there's no way they could run off. And more so she was more scared about like what could happen to the babies that are there that need her to feed them, or like future babies that could be born there that need her to be fed from. And it's just rough seeing like somebody be both a slave because of the her physical limitations, and also be a slave mentally because of all the trauma that she faced. It was just a rough episode to experience. And yeah, so like I'm really guessing that Klein's just gonna end end up just revealing himself to these bandits and just take care of them so that they can get their wet nurse and they can get on out of there. But we'll see if he does that, because the next person that really does something really brave is Alicia, who's being taken away, and she realizes there's these slaves that were given a deal where they would dive deep into this water to retrieve this regalia that was legendary, that was said to be in the deepest part of this lake. But and if they did that, they would be set free. So this one brave soul tries to do it, but then gets instantly eaten by dark beasts. And yeah, like even his wife just kind of was looking on, like, damn, they just ate him. And like, like, she's distraught. She is shocked at the sight of these dark beasts. And Alicia points out, like, yeah, you guys weren't really weren't really gonna let him go free, because if that was the case, you would have unshackled them, even though you knew that there was no way that he could have done that. But they didn't. So you could see that these bandits kind of take this as a sport and as a sense of entertainment, where they get to torture, or like get to give these slaves a sense of hope, and then instantly be met with the harsh reality that there is none, by getting eaten by these lake beasts. And these lake dark beasts are a very important part of like the history in this world, where they were like seen for the first time like 300 years ago. And the one that encountered them was like supposed to be the strongest hero that the hidden village produced, and even he wasn't able to beat them. So like, yeah, these dark beasts are like no joke. They don't take no prisoners. And then Alicia gets encountered by this one guy that's like all pervy, and tries to like eye her, or like get to tells her that he sees her even though he's blind, because of all the vibrations and sounds, so he can detail exactly how she looks, her shape of her body, and all this. And he just wants to have his way with her. And then for the first time, she actually gives thanks to Clevitus, because she is able to try out something she wouldn't have if she knew she would die from, which is jump off a cliff to take this guy with her. And also, like, she kind of dislocated her own like uh arms to put her hands from behind her back forward, and really nail this guy down to the ground. And the episode ends off with her body just battered and covered in blood. And it was such a great cliffhanger. Like, this anime was like super dark this episode, and it did dive a bit deep into like a very dark and depressing topic for like mothers. So I it this anime is just really good. It continues to impress me, and it's one I do recommend, but with some caution of a lot of like triggers in this one. 9 out of 10 episode for me.